Ahoy my friends, Ryder here, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Today has been a guide that has been a lot of work in the making. Now today I'm going to be doing a voiceover in a Crash co-op run that I did with my good friends J.Ro and Chaos43, who I'm sure a lot of you guys know from previous videos. Now before I go into this run, I just want to let you guys know that the day that this video is dropping, so probably when you're watching it right now, at noon Pacific Daylight Time, I think that's what it's called, Pacific Standard Time, whatever, noon PDT, we will be doing Crash carries in the Curseborn server. Okay, so if you guys haven't joined yet, there is an invitation link in the description of all my videos. For all of you guys that are already in the Discord, we're going to open up a new channel and just pop in whenever you can, and we'll be running people for, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 hours, depending on how many people want to get run. If you can't make it during that time, the best place to go is the official Final Fantasy VII Discord channel. They've been doing runs all day as far as I know, and I think that the requirements for actually getting run are going to be a little bit easier than even ours. It took us a while even just to beat this fight. It's definitely probably the hardest fight we've had in the game so far. It definitely feels like it right now. I have gotten kind of close to beating the solo Crash. So that being said, I'm going to be walking you guys through everything that you need to know in terms of team building. I'm going to show you guys a PowerPoint with a bunch of information about the fight. There's a lot to know for the fight itself. Now, I'm going to show you guys my setup for the fight. And my setup for this fight is going to be Sephiroth, Red 13, and Matt. Now, there are other ways to clear this fight. Aerith can work, Tifa can work, Yuffie can work, as far as I know. Sephiroth has definitely the edge in the wind department with his new weapon. You don't need anything more than a base 5-star copy in order to run as Sephiroth. However, you do need to be breaking like above 4.5k attack and wind 8 level 8 potency. So if I show you guys my stats right here, the HP is a bit overkill. It just turned to be from the specking of what I've been doing on this account. But as you guys can see, physical attack 7, wind potency 8. That's for people that want to play Sephiroth. Most of the other people, or most of you guys, are probably going to be either running Red 13, where you only need a base version of the Silver Collar. However, probably one of the equally important here is going to be the Gold Collar, so that you can get the Earth resistance in your main hand slot if you're going to be running Red 13. Other than that, Matt is also an option for people. From what I've heard, you can run it with even a base 5-star version of Centipede, but we do recommend having an OB6 version of Centipede for the fight, along with the Bahamut Rapier right here for the Diamond Sigil Break as well. Now, that being said, let's jump over to the PowerPoint, and I will go through the fight in as much detail as possible. Alright guys, so here we are on the PowerPoint for the Humus Crash fight, or the Hummus Crash fight, however you guys want to call them. I gave this one a difficulty level of 9 out of 10. For the co-op Crash, I'd say it's more like 8 out of 10. But for the solo, at least from what I've been experiencing for myself, it is pretty damn hard, guys. Unless you have just a boatload of wind damage, it's a really difficult fight. Now, I'm going to go through as much information as I've learned. I've run the solo about 70 times, and I've beaten the Crash co-op, as you guys will see here in a second. I'm going to try and just download as much as I can for you guys. So the weakness of the Humus Gallonbaloir is going to be wind. The Sigil Break is diamond. I do recommend at least one character in the team having a diamond Sigil Break, whether that's Red 13 Silver Collar or Matt's Bahamut Rapier. The necessary mechanics are going to be Wind and Peril. Super important. Aerith can do it with the Floral Rod. The problem with Aerith is that her Imperil will only take effect if she's above 50% HP, and she often becomes the tank of the fight when you set her up. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a character in this fight, whoever has the lowest total HP is going to be targeted by the boss during his meteorite phase, and they're going to tank 4 meteors in a row, and that's basically the opening of this fight. So whoever, you're going to be choosing a character in your team, you know, and if you're going into the Crash co-op, if you're going to be running the tank, you need to be aware of this, where essentially you are speccing your character to survive those things. So for me, that character is Red 13. And so most of this guide today is going to be centered around Matt, Sephiroth, and Red 13 being the primary team members. However, like I said, it is possible with other players. Tifa, Aerith, I've seen different runs on YouTube. So, you know, if you guys are trying to get by with those characters, I recommend checking those videos out. All right, now, as for the necessarty mechanics, okay, other than Wind Apparel, we're going to need AoE healing, a single target heal, Cura works fine, a powerful wind DPS, attack removal limit breaks, right? So Stardust Ray for Red 13 and Vanquishing Blade for Matt. We're going to need physical defense AoE or physical defense removal limit breaks like Aerith's Breath of the Earth. The best characters for this fight are going to be Sephiroth, Red 13, Matt, Aerith, and Tifa. All right. Also, Yuffie would work really well too, since she does have a Wind Arcanum costume. All right. So Humus Crash continued. This is going to be the boss rotation for the fight. He's going to go through a certain sequence of attacks, and then it's just going to rinse and repeat. All right. So the first phase is the meteorite phase. This is going to be 4 meteors focused and targeted on the character with the lowest HP. The tricky part is that one person can't heal all 4 meteors. So you kind of have to set it up where the person who is the tank, so let's say Red 13 in this case, is going to kind of help with the healing in between the main healer healing them on this phase. All right, so after the 4 meteors, the boss is going to go into the wind bar phase. And during this phase, you need to do a certain amount of wind damage in order to break the bar. And if you don't fully break the bar, or at least get it 99% of the way, the boss will wipe your entire team every single time. Now, after you break the wind bar phase, you're going to get into this kind of little bit of a lull period where the boss is going to do 2 different regular attacks on you. It's going to be Rake. He's going to do that one after about 10 to 15 seconds of breaking the wind bar, and then the second Rake is going to come much faster than the first one. Following that second Rake, the boss is going to go into its first Sigil Break form. That is going to be the Irate Sigil Break. It's going to be an 8-cost Diamond Sigil Break, and it should be more or less pretty easy to beat with your characters, even if you don't have Diamond Sigils. However, there is a much longer Sigil Break later on in the fight. Now, once you interrupt this Sigil Break and that interrupt bar is going down, once it gets to the end, you're going to want to switch to defense stance, because once that interruption bar it runs out of time, the boss is going to use an AoE attack called Greater Rush, and it's very powerful, so you must block it. Now, after that, the boss is going to go into this little kind of lull period again, and then he's going to go into another Sigil Break called Mend. Now, Sigil Break Mend has, I think, a 21 or 24 diamond count, and there will be a single Rake attack somewhere in the middle, sometimes 2 if you don't break it fast enough. Now, this is why I recommend having at least one character with a diamond sigil breaking weapon, because during Mend, the boss is going to be slowly regenerating his hit points, and in a lot of cases, he can regenerate all the way back up to full HP, which is, for me right now in the solo, probably the hardest thing about it, is like dealing with that HP regeneration. So actually in my solo team, I'm running 2 diamond sigil breaking weapons in order to try and break through this phase as fast as possible. Now, once you break this sigil break, same as before, once that interruption bar goes down, he's going to trigger Greater Rush. Make sure you block that. And once that happens, the boss is going to reset. He's going to go back into the meteorite phase with the 4 meteors, and the whole cycle will rinse and repeat. Now, it is important to note that upon the 3rd cycle, the the third meteorite phase is going to be called meteorite arrival. And when that happens, every single meteor that drops from the sky will deal about 70,000 damage, and that is the ultimate DPS check of the fight. He will kill you off one at a time. As you'll see in our co-op fight, I'm not sure if it was this one or a different one I did, but I did get to the meteorite phase, or the meteorite arrival phase. We did win, but it is pretty freaking crazy. All right, so let's jump over to the next slide. So the fight mechanics that you guys want to keep in mind as you're going through this. You want to keep the boss imperiled essentially the entire fight if possible, because you want as much damage as possible from your wind DPS in order to counter that regenerative mend that he does in the middle. Okay, you're going to want to sync your healing in the meteorite phase. So, you know, Matt and Red 13 will be working together to keep him alive during the 4 meteors. Your wind DPS is essentially just doing damage the entire fight. All right, you're going to want to be prepared for the wind bar phase. If you're playing a DPS character, okay, then you're going to want to get off your physical attack buff if you're playing Sephiroth. If not, you want to save ATB and let the imperils start breaking the wind potency on the boss, or the wind resistance on the boss. And then when you start to get high and it's been broken down, then start attacking so that your attacks have a lot more damage to them than they would. So that makes breaking the bar easier. Okay. A super important thing about this fight that is, you know, easy to forget is block the rakes. They're just simple regular attacks. They will come up with a named attack. They're very fast casting, but they can really save your healer a lot of work. So keep an eye out for them and block the rakes. Okay, the last important thing to note is we want to use limit breaks to remove the boss's physical attack buff. So periodically throughout the fight, the boss is going to gain a 5-tier physical attack buff. And the only way to get rid of it is to use either Matt's Vanquishing Blade or Red 13's Stardust Ray, which is going to completely get rid of all the physical attack buffs immediately. So make sure that you keep those limit breaks only for that time and immediately debuff them on the boss as soon as he buffs himself up. All right, so for those of you guys that want to play Matt in the co-op carry, if you guys are going to be joining us at noon PDT tomorrow, okay, so you're going to want to run Centipede in the main hand and Akira in the 3rd slot. You're going to want to spec Matt for healing and physical defense and HP. Remember, he has to have more HP than the tank in your formation. Okay, you're going to want to watch this guide and maybe other videos on YouTube. Chaos43 has a really good video up right now as well for both the Crash Co-op and the solo. Okay, so you're going to want to memorize the heal rotation, especially for the meteorite phase. Okay, that one can be a little bit tricky. Of course, we'll be definitely helping you in the voice chat if you guys can jump in there. So we can learn over time, and we are patient. The monks taught me when I lived with them in Nepal that that we should always be grateful to those who make us wait, because those people become our teachers in patience. So we are here to help you guys get through it. All right, Diamond Sigil Breaks helps reduce mend time, but should not be prioritized over healing. So if you're running Matt and he's in the Sigil Break, right, you're going to want to prioritize healing over using the Bahamut's Rapier, because it's important to keep the HP full in this fight, all right? And also, last but not least, you're going to want to equip Vanishing Blade, his attack removal limit break. All right, for Nanaki as tank tips, or Red 13, you're going to want to equip the Gold Collar in the 1st slot for Earth Resist. Mine is OB4 at level 80. I think you could even use it OB2. So just put it in there, and hopefully you guys have one. That's going to really help with making this character tanky. You're going to want to spec for Earth Resist with Fairy Tail in your sub-weapon slots. Fairy Tail comes with healing and Earth Resist. Cloud's healing weapon is also the exact same, so you could also use that one as well if that one's more leveled up. Then you're going to want to stack 2 HP/physical defense weapons as well in his sub-weapons, so that Red 13 is looking super tanky. 180 physical defense plus, Earth Resist 4 or 5, and HP around 10k or above. All right, you're going to want to stack physical defense for your materia. You're going to want to make sure his HP is the lowest in the team, and the Cura is in the 3rd slot for the single target heal that he's going to use on himself during the Meteorite phase. Now, Red 13 is going to be imperiling 95% of the fight, except for the Meteorite phase, where Red will single target heal himself after the 1st and 2nd Meteor. He's not going to have enough ATB to heal himself on the 3rd. That's where Matt is going to come in, and Matt will be periodically using the Centipede Recovery Circle in order to raise the physical defense of the group during this phase. All right, now last but not least, we have Sephiroth and Wind DPS tips for the fight. So you're going to want to build for 4.5k plus physical attack and level 8 wind potency. I will say that this is a bare minimum for being strong enough to run a DPS in this fight if you are Sephiroth or Tifa or Yuffie. And I think that Yuffie or Tifa would have to be even stronger than this because they don't have a weapon that buffs their physical attack or their wind potency up. So, for example, I mean, actually Tifa could technically run Amaranth's Claws, and Yuffie could run the Arctic Star as well. So I guess that would work. So shoot for 4.5k plus physical attack and level 8 wind potency. Now, the Shinra Military Sword, which is Sephiroth's new sword, is at base 5-star, will work in the offhand. I use it, and I just ran through on Crash playing as Sephiroth. So that will be okay if you guys want to run this character. Now, without the wind buff weapon, DPS must be pushing 5k plus physical attack and solid attack R abilities to bring enough DPS output for the fight. So if you don't have the Amaranth's Claws or the Arctic Star or Sephiroth Shinra's Military Sword, you really need to be pushing 5k plus on the physical attack. So yeah. All right. Other than that, make sure you time your buffs accordingly. Use your limit break, so Ardent Flare, to keep physical attack and wind potency up as often as possible throughout the battle. All right, now that being said, let's jump back over. I'm going to show you guys my team. We'll go in a little bit more detail, and then I'll do a voiceover of the Crash co-op clear. All right, guys, here we are back in the game. I'm going to quickly show you guys the build that you should be going through. So whether you're going for a Sephiroth build or a Red 13 build for tomorrow or a Matt build, I'm going to show you guys how you want to set them up in order to get brought in and carried for the Crash co-op clear. All right, so let's take a look at Red 13 first, all right? So like I said in the PowerPoint, we're going to be running the gold collar for the earth resistance in the main hand, and then the silver collar in the offhand for the healing and everything good that brings to the table. Don't forget to equip the Stardust Ray right here. And for his costume, I'm running the rubber harness, which boosts healing and physical defense. Other than that, the materia, this is a physical defense stat stick materia. This is a Aurora Blow, just in case he needs to do some damage. And then also the Cura, very important, putting that in the 3rd slot. Take a look at his stats right here, 10.5k HP. He's got 200 physical defense, 2.2k healing. And if we go down to his R abilities, Earth Resist is at level 5. So he is just pure tank mode, guys. Now, there are a couple options for sub-weapons for the Earth Resist. We have Fairy Tail right here, or you can use Cloud's healing weapon as well. I like Fairy Tail. I tend to have it more leveled than Cloud's. And then we're just running 2 carbon copy HP physical defense sub-weapons right here, just to get him all spec'd out. So that is going to be the build for Red 13 that you're shooting for. If you are going to be playing as Matt, you're going to want to be running his Gear Voucher Elite uniform for the healing physical defense, or his new healing costume, which would be even better. You're going to want a Centipede at OB6 if possible. If you don't have it and you want to run Matt, just talk to us and we'll find a way to do it. It is possible at lower levels. We'll just need a very strong wind DPS. Other than that, the Bahamut's Rapier for the Diamond Sigil Break in the offhand is a great weapon for him. Do not forget to slot the Cura in the 3rd slot right here. 3rd slot because he gets an extra 20% healing potency from the Centipede Materia support right there. Then I just have 2 stat stick Materias right here, both of them wind, just for backup healing potency right here. So I do have his healing at 3k, physical defense 157. As you can see, his HP is above Red 13's at 11.6k. Now for his sub-weapons, I am running the Guard Stick for healing, the Feather Scatter for HP physical defense, and the Aonibi for the high HP and ability potency right here. All right, so that is going to conclude the Matt build. Last but not least, we have Sephiroth. So for those of you guys that want to run a wind DPS and you're looking to run Sephiroth, if you do have this weapon right here, it is going to be possible at base 5-star. I'm pretty sure you could do it without this weapon, but you would need a stronger build than mine right here in order to do it. So as you can see, pushing upwards of 4.5k physical attack. I have a ton of HP right here, as you guys will see why in a second. The HP is not as important as long as he's just higher than Red 13, but his physical defense is not really that important at all throughout the fight. Sephiroth is going to be built as a pure wind DPS, or whoever your DPS is, whether that is Tifa or Yuffie. Now, if we go into, actually, before we do that, you're going to want to bring Ardent Flare, okay, so that when the buff is down, this gives you an easy way to raise his physical attack, just in case you want to save ATB, okay? I slotted one Cura here, just in case one of the other characters ever needed it in the fight. Physical attack focus, so as you can see, this one is 3.3% physical attack. An Aurora Blow, with also, actually, I think this one is slotted for HP to keep him above Red 13. Actually, I could probably switch this. So I think that I could even tweak my team a little bit more. And then a Fire a Blow with 6.5% physical attack. Now, if we go into the sub-weapons right here, I'm running the Stream Saber at OB6, the Prism Rod at OB10, and the Amarant's Claws at OB10. So whatever you guys can do in order to get really solid attack stats. So physical attack level 7, wind potency level 8, I've got wind potency or physical ability potency at level 3, and physical attack to all allies at level 3. All right, so that is going to conclude the different builds that you guys can keep in mind for coming to the Crash Co-op tomorrow. Like I said, noon at PDT. That being said, let's get into the voiceover for the fight itself. Alright guys, so this is the team for the Crash Co-op clear. As you can see, I am running Sephiroth over here on the right with the exact same setup that I just showed you guys, or very similar to it. Our very own Chaos 43 in the middle. He is going to be playing tank as Red 13. As you can see, he's got the silver collar at OB6 and the gold collar in the offhand right there with the rubber harness, Stardust Ray at the top, and a bunch of awesome 5-star materias. And then last but not least, we have J-Ro over here running the ultimate Matt build. He's got the brand new healing costume, Centipede OB10 level 120, and the Killer Hornet for the Diamond Sigil Break right here, along with the Vanquishing Blade, Limit Break, and the proper materia setup. So as you guys can see, this is like a picture-perfect team for going into this fight. And that being said, let's get into the actual fight itself. All right, guys, here we are going into the Crash Co-op, and I'm going to be giving you guys a voiceover of this fight and what exactly is going on. All right, so at the beginning of this fight, the boss is going to go into his meteorite form. I am just going to be focused on DPS here, but Red 13 is going to be saving ATB. Matt is going to cast Recovery Circle right here to get up the magic defense. Then Red is going to, we're all going to block the meteor. He's going to single target cure himself. Matt is going to cast Recovery Circle again, get that defense buff up to high. Red 13 is going to heal himself again. And then on the last third meteor right here, we're going to block. Matt is going to get off the last heal on Red 13, take him to full. We're all going to stay in defense stance and tank the fourth meteorite right there. Once we go into this, do not heal, okay? Red 13 is going to start immediately looking to imperil the boss. We're trying to get that wind resist down into the negative as fast as possible. On Sephiroth, I'm just going to be doing Theatrical Strike and then immediately just going straight into Gale Strikes right here. So the goal is to break the wind bar in 2 Gale Strikes from Sephiroth if possible right here. All right, so there you guys have it. We did get the break. The power is exhausted. We're going to get a little window here, but because of that small little clip right there at the end, you just have to be careful and keep an eye on it always so that you can switch over. All right, so there comes the Greater Rush. After this, we're going to have a little bit of a window right here, but do you see that physical attack buff that he just got, 5 tiers? This is why Chaos is using Stardust Ray right here in order to remove that physical attack. All right, after this, I'm just going to be focusing on doing as much damage as possible. Red is going to be imperiling, and Matt is going to be healing up the party as much as he can. All right, make sure you block the rakes. We missed one right there. Here's another one. All right, so I didn't actually block this one, so I wasn't doing my job perfectly, but it is what it is. All right, so here comes the sigil break, Irate. Okay, so during this point in time, Sephiroth will still be casting Gale Strikes to do as much damage as possible. I'm not going to switch to Aurora Blows. Essentially, Sephiroth is only going to cast Theatrical Strike and Gale Strike this entire fight. Now, right when that interruption bar wears off, switch to defense stance because he's going to use Greater Rush, as you guys can see right here. All right. Once he gets that off, we're just going right back to it. You see he got that physical attack buff up again right there, which he always gets right after the Greater Rush. Okay. And Matt is going to remove it. Super important to get rid of that as fast as possible. And then in the meantime, he's going to go straight into Mend right here. 24 Sigil Break on the Diamond. I'm going to just do one Theatrical Strike to get my attack buffs up. And then I'm just going to be doing Gale Strikes. You would think that I would be doing Aurora Blow. They cast 3 ATB. But honestly, you just want to do as much damage as possible. And with Matt and Red 13 having a Diamond Sigil Break weapon on both of them, you can just let Sephiroth focus on whatever it is that he needs to do. All right, so here we are, getting as much damage as we can. And we are about to break it right here. I'm going to use Theatrical Strike just to prepare it. We did take the rake right at the end right there, but it's going to be okay. Getting in as much damage as we can right here. He did get a bunch of healing on that Mend. Now keep an eye on the interruption bar. Right here, you're going to switch over to defense, and he's going to do Greater Rush. All right, so there it is. As you can see, he gets the huge physical attack boost. So we're going to need to remove that boost. There goes the Stardust Ray. I'm going to drop Astral Gate just so that I don't have to do Theatrical Slash right here. Okay, plus it'll get boosted damage since it's paired with Red 13's Stardust Ray. All right, so perfect. Now we are going into the next part of the fight, which is just going to repeat everything that we just did. We're going to get off as much damage as we can, and the boss is going to start charging his Meteorite phase again. All right, so as you guys can tell, Matt is going to Recovery Circle right here. Then Red 13 is going to block the Meteor right now, and he's going to heal himself with Cura, okay? Then Matt will cast Recovery Circle again. Then Red 13 will heal the next Meteorite on himself with another Cura. Then we all block every single time. The party should be, everyone should be blocking all of these hits right here, okay? And then Matt will heal the last Meteorite, which will give him enough HP to tank the Meteorite cluster right here. All right. Unfortunately, he didn't quite survive. But on this fight, we're going to show you guys that we can still win, even with a death in the fight. All right. So we're going to raise Red 13 right there. And I'm going to get off a Theatrical Strike. And we're going to hopefully get off enough. I'm waiting right here, saving ATB, to give Red 13 a chance to get off enough Imperils that we can actually break this bar. Now, it's going to be really freaking close here, but I'm pretty sure that right here at the end, I get the full break. Now, we didn't exhaust him before, but we broke the bar enough to survive, and he will get exhausted right now. So sometimes that will happen where the boss will get exhausted afterwards in the fight. All right, so there you go. We're going to break the physical attack, and we're just rolling right back into the physical DPS Imperils. Matt is healing, and I'm just trying to do as much as I can. So I'm letting my ATB fully collect up to the top. Then I will do Theatrical Strike. That gives me the opportunity to get off 3 Dark Heaven abilities instead of 2 in the time frame of the buff right there. All right, so there's Rake. As you guys can see, we blocked it. Another one will be coming right here. There it is. If you guys are having trouble following when the characters revert away, just keep an eye on your party members' sigil stances, and you can see if they turn blue, you turn blue. All right, so here we go. We got the break on the Irate sigil phase. We're doing as much damage as we can right here. I'm going to get off a Theatrical Strike, and he's going to get off his Greater Rush right here. All right, so there goes the Rush attack. We're going to switch back. We're going to try and focus as much damage as we can. We're going to use the Stardust Ray to break the physical attack again. So as you guys can see, there is a clear cycle in this fight. It rinse and repeats itself 3 times over before it ultimately kills you no matter what. All right, so there's the Astral or the Ardent Flare right there. And from here, I don't have to worry about using Theatrical Strike. I'm just going to go into Gale Strikes right now. All right, and we're just going to try and do our best to kill this boss. So even though this run wasn't optimized, you'll see that. So there it is. There's the Meteorite Arrival, guys. So once you get to this point, he will start killing you with these meteors. You'll see that his first one on red does a ton of damage right here. It's going to do about 70,000, but it doesn't look like he actually got it off. All right, so that is going to be the Crash fight. When you guys watch it, it doesn't seem that crazy, but this took a lot of practice in order to get to this point. Now, if you guys have any questions at all regarding this stuff, just drop a comment or come join our Discord, and I will try to help you guys as much as I can. Like I said, we'll be doing Crash clears today at noon, so that's going to be, I believe, May 25th at noon PDT. All right, guys, I hope to see you guys there. If this video was helpful, don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis content. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Take care and peace.